I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of Heart to Heart with Bree. Tonight's topic is the joy of gardening, and my guest is Johneese. And this is not her first appearance. And I tell you, when Johneese came the last time, it was my highest rated episode. I mean, this lady knows how to have fun. Welcome back, Johneese. Would you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Hello, everyone. I'm Johneese. So we're talking about gardening today. So let me tell you about my gardening thing. I gardening is just such a blessing for me. It brings me so much peace and so much. It's my therapy. It's very therapeutic for me. But back to introducing myself. I am a nurse, a mother, uh, and a gardener. Pretty much that.
And the world traveler, don't leave
Oh,
that
and
out.
I'm a travel agent as well, but because we're not talking about traveling today, I'm a gardener today. I'm in my gardening mode today.
Well, I'm
That's
excited. I'm excited about this topic. I'm because I have not done gardening before. So for all the viewers who tune in tonight, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. So, Johnny, so let me start with my first question. Would you agree that gardening is good for both physical and mental health?
Oh, Bree, definitely. This is like I was saying before, gardening is so therapeutic. Mentally, it improves your mental health. It reduces anxiety, depression. Like for me, I get up in the mornings and if I wake up late, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm late. I can't go talk to my babies this morning because I look forward to it. It makes my day. It starts my day out good. So that for me, it helps with my mental health. Then you're moving things, you're lifting, you're I remember one particular evening after work, I was outside gardening, and I wear the Apple Watch, and I had like 8,000 steps just from being outside
Wow.
the garden in the evening. Yeah, so and of course there's the vitamin D from the sun. We all need to be out in the sun
Yes.
all the time to get some vitamin D. So yeah.
As I was preparing for this topic, I thought back to when I lived in England and when my dad started a garden. And, he would work all day and come home, and the first thing he would do is go to that garden. And I was thinking, like, wasn't he tired? But I realized it was therapeutic for him. He found it, very relaxing. And, that's the most relaxed I recall ever seeing my dad. So I think it makes perfect sense. So, to the viewers, hey, that's another plus for gardening, right?
So
Andrew, thank you for tuning in.
So Brie, I have to tell you, like I will go out like in the mornings. I have to remember that I have to start working in order to come in, and then
Wow.
in the evenings it's the night. And my mom was living with me, and she would be out, and she's diabetic, and she'd be out there in the mornings, and she'd be out there. I have no idea what that woman was doing outside there, and she'd come in and she's like, "Lord, I feel like I'm gonna die." I'm like, "Why did you wait, until?" Like now she's so hungry and she's coming in and she's, I guess her sugar
Yeah.
level or something. Now I understand like going out there and not wanting to come back in. You just, once you start a project, you just want to
You
finish
just get
it.
carried
Yeah.
away, right? You get carried away. Yeah, I remember that sense of satisfaction. I could tell that my dad had it. It's like how he planted everything was in a row, everything was uniformed, and it was just it took me back. I mean, almost 50 years, but great memories. So once
Mhm.
again, thank you for agreeing to do this topic. So my next question is, what is your favorite part of gardening?
Oh, it's the favorite part is actually maybe eating what I grow is my favorite part. But another favorite is just watching my stuff grow from scratch because I plant stuff from seed. I plant. I, I think everything I plant pretty much like vegetables and stuff is from seeds, and
Yes.
and just to watch them grow and thrive until they, they grow into something edible. It's like, and the bugs, and especially if the bugs don't get them before I get them, then that's always it. But it's I guess eating my stuff is the best part, but
And that makes perfect sense. For someone who is new to gardening, where would be a good place for them to start?
definitely, I would say container gardening, because it's you like it's in a container, but it's also a contained space where
Yes.
um you have more control, of whatever you're growing. Um, if you're in an apartment or condo, you have a little balcony or a window that light comes into. You can grow something there. You're in your townhouse, a big yard space, whatever. It's just easier to contain, and it's just easier to take care of, instead of you go big and then you realize you went too big, but now you're in
Yes.
container. So yeah.
Yeah, I live in an apartment and I have a patio. And I've
Mhm.
considered trying container gardening, but I am afraid of frogs. I'm afraid of bugs. I'm afraid of any. Is there anything that you could put out that will prevent these little critters coming out?
I'm on Facebook. I'm in a lot of these groups, right? And they'll tell you grow lemongrass, what we call fever grass. And I've
Okay.
seen a couple of instances to prevent snakes. And I've seen
Okay.
a couple of instances where people post pictures of the snakes laying in the fever grass.
Oh my
So I'm like,
gosh.
but and then there's the thing, there's like the mints and stuff that they'll say grow mints or whatever to prevent mosquitoes. I tell you, mosquitoes love me. I walk outside and they just gravitate towards me, and I guess it's something to do with my blood type. But I think that, and I do believe the mints, because I have a little spot in my front yard where I have those little garden chairs and the little table, and I have a couple of big planters, and I have mint and thyme and rosemary and stuff in there, and that's like the only space that I don't get mosquitoes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but if you're
Man.
not on the first floor, you shouldn't have frogs though.
Okay, well, I've seen a couple. They look like toads when I first moved here, so I don't know. They make me very nervous.
Bree, you're
Andrew,
in you're in Florida. Well, I'm scared of snakes, but and lizards, and then we have these new fancy lizards. Oh
oh
gosh,
my gosh, I've been
true.
seeing these exotic looking lizards.
The
I've
red,
seen a lot
yeah,
of
there's
them.
some African something lizard that I can't.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned white flies. It's just like I don't like
Oh,
to be
it's
fighting
the
against
aphid,
anything.
the aphids. Oh, let me tell you. A couple of years ago, I just gave my garden to them. I just couldn't anymore. But now, for me, because my garden is purely organic, and I've been using neem oil on
Okay,
them. And what I realize is, once like I inspect my stuff every day, but then when I travel, that's my little issue. And so they'll take over my garden when I travel. But before I travel, I go heavy on the neem oil. Just make sure I spray the under leaves, because they'll
okay.
they'll be under there. They're like in little white clusters under there, and you'll see the little white flies flying around. They're horrible.
Annoying things. I'd
Mm.
like to welcome my cousin Lennon Lashley. Thank you so much for tuning in, Lennon. When did you fall in love with gardening?
Oh my goodness, Bree, I don't remember a time when. Well, it didn't start with like, it started with flowers, and I remember growing up with I'm always, my hashtag is always just a country girl from Hopeton, St. James, Jamaica, because I grew up in the country, but I'm not from a, like, I didn't see anybody farming. Like, my mother didn't farm by the time we moved to country. My grandfather had actually stopped farming, so I wasn't around too much of that. But flowers, my brother and I would, we'd take the bus and we had to walk like a little distance to get home. And I would take everybody's house that I would pass with flowers. I would pick them flowers and take them home to plant them.
Oh,
And so,
wow.
So it started with flowers. At one point, I probably had about maybe about 75 orchids or so, and so it's. I just don't remember a time when I didn't. I wasn't planting flowers, even as a small child. It was always flowers for me.
The first time I ever planted anything, it was just it was a daffodil. In
Mm.
England, they would have this thing every year where the kids will buy the bulbs and plant them, and then you'd bring them back,
Hmm.
when they grew, and then you'd get a first prize, second prize, or third prize certificate. And I will never forget that then when I saw that my daffodil had bloomed. And that sense of satisfaction, I had to have been about 9 years old. And I will never forget getting that first prize certificate. That was a big
Ooh.
deal. So, that sense of satisfaction, it's been, I mean, what, about 50 years later, I've never forgotten that feeling. It was so amazing. So we talked about how satisfying it is to reap from your garden. Now, let's talk about that process, because I know for me, I know I'd be outside every day checking to see if there's any progress and, to see if anything has gone wrong. When you get to that end stage where your flower has grown or your produce has, it's time to reap it, just describe that feeling as you reap or as you harvest or whatever the correct word is.
So, oh my goodness. So right now I have sweet soft, and I wake up in the morning and it's like the first thing again is like I go to the sweet soft tree and I'm like breaking my neck, looking up in the tree like, okay, where's the sweet soft? And but and just to know that this is something I actually planted from a seed, and not necessarily really planting because like somehow, and back to when I was planting stuff as a child, my mother used to say to me I have growing hands. And so
Yes.
like now, like my sweet soft, I have one, two, three sweet soft trees. I didn't plant them. I actually just threw the seeds out there and they grow. Because,
Wow.
and I noticed when I try to germinate stuff, they just whatever, they don't grow. They don't grow for me. I throw them out there, they grow. But just the is there's this pleasure, this I can't explain it. This beautiful pleasure knowing that I planted this from scratch, and now today I am eating this beautiful juicy fruit. It's I can't explain it.
It's worth
Other
the
than to tell
sweat
you,
and the
it's
hard
like
work, right?
it's like something. There's no fertilizer on there. There's no pesticide. It's just this truly organic fruit that I'm eating. It's a delicious feeling.
Oh, I bet it is. It takes me back to like my grandparents. They would go to what they call in Jamaica the bush. They'd be there
Yeah,
all
the
day.
bush. Uh-huh.
And then when they
My
would
bush is
come
in my
back,
backyard.
yeah, right. They would come back with all these different things. And looking back, I was like, it's to me, it's such a blessing when you can eat, your food from, from your hard work, and that was really good tasting food. I didn't appreciate it back then like
Then,
we do
right?
now.
Oh my goodness. We surely did not.
It's the truth. I mean, I think back to the sweet potatoes and the yams and the dasheen and cocoa and all of that. And it's a pumpkin, things like that. I really do miss having that kind of food. So my next question, Johnny, says, is gardening beneficial to those on a tight budget?
I mean, you can make it. I'm gonna tell you, my garden. I'll spend $100 and I'll only read $20 worth of stuff, but it still give me that pleasure. But
Yes.
if if you're on a tight budget, it's once you spend, like especially that first year when you start gardening, you'll probably spend a lot more just to get started. But once you're
Yes.
maintaining, and my seeds actually, like if I'm planting broccoli, my broccoli seeds are from broccoli from last year, because I wait until they there's a word that you call them, and they start seeding, And once they start seeding, then I save the seeds until the following year. Okra, same thing. The thing
Is
about
that what they would call a suckling?
suckling are the small ones.
Okay.
Bolting is the word I'm looking for. Like
Okay.
vegetables bolt, even your lettuce, they actually have seeds. So they'll
Okay.
bolt, and then there are little seeds that come out, and you wait until they're dry, and that's what you plant to get lettuce for the following year.
Mm.
So if once you the thing about buying like store bought, say you buy pepper, like what we call bell pepper or sweet pepper from the supermarket, they're kind of like, I'm not sure what's the word, but I'll say hybrid then. So you can plant that pepper, and you might not get the same pepper because it's a combination of different peppers to make it into that pepper. So you
Okay.
might not truly get a bell pepper from it. So there are sometimes I'll just for the heck of it, I'll use the seeds from the store. So say you're starting your gardening and you want to use the seeds from whatever if you buy at the store. When you go into my kitchen, there's like seeds. I have seeds on a table that's like all different seeds, because once I get something different, I'll save the seed to plant. So back to, if it's expensive, you yeah, you want your soil to be a certain, you have to balance it out. So you have to buy the different soil, treat them a different way. You gotta keep spraying them, but you don't have to buy the expensive spray, because you can mix like Dawn with and just a little drop of cooking oil with the water, of course, to spray them instead of buying neem oil.
Okay.
Or even, or I'm sure probably your grandparents and my grandparents did this, where if you use your grill, the ash from the grill, you sprinkle them on your plants, and it prevents those same white flies from taking over. So you don't have to go to the store to buy the expensive products or the expensive seeds or something. And then even on Facebook, there are groups that you share seeds with, or if you ask for seeds, they'll just tell you to send them a self-addressed stamp envelope, and they'll mail seeds to you. Because I have
That's
mailed
cool.
seeds to people, because even like soursop seeds especially, I'll just, I mean, I don't sell anything. I'll
Yes.
sell it to them.
Oh wow, that's actually pretty cool. I'd like to welcome Mikey Go. Thank you so much for joining us. I've watched several documentaries about World War II, and they talk about during that time, due to food shortages, a lot of people turned to gardening to
Hmm.
supplement their food, to make sure that they could feed their families. And they said that was during that period where a lot of people ate a lot of fruit and vegetables more than any other time in history.
Really?
And they said they said, the school children, that's the healthiest that they ever were during that period, because
Whoa.
they ate a lot of fruit and vegetables, and gardening was the thing. In fact, it still is. A lot of people who don't have like a garden, they rent an allotment space. I have a cousin that he will always post his videos, and it's amazing all the stuff that he plants over there in England. It's amazing.
Okay, so that rental of the space to breathe. We have here in Port St. Lucie. We have, there is one somewhere here. I'm not sure. I think it's somewhere in Erosa, but I'm not sure. But there's one in Jensen Beach, and I still go there. I go there just for the peace. That, like, people are not really planting like those shared spaces.
Yes.
You actually have to pay a fee for them. So the city actually charges for the space. And I noticed people are not utilizing them like they did, say, like, I mean, the first time I went to the one in Jensen was probably maybe 10 years ago, and there
Okay.
were actually people planting there. But it's such a peaceful space that's there, and just, so they have like a little gazebo, and I'll go there and I'll just sit there for a minute. And of course there are a few mango trees across the street, so
It's pretty convenient.
so I'll go look. The mango trees are just right along the street, and they bear like late in the year, so I'll just go there and go look for a couple of mangoes or something.
What are the benefits of growing your own produce?
Of course, the benefit is that you can eat what you grow, right? And you know what you're eating.
Yes.
You know, like I said, I'm purely organic, so I
Yes.
know what I have in my, I mean, there's nothing that's 100% organic, of course, because when you buy stuff and it says it's organic, it's a percentage of organic stuff that's it, that it actually is. But for I use no chemicals, no nothing in my products, so I actually know what I'm eating when I grow it. Like I my friends will tell you, Bree, do not come to my house and park on my grass because I am that person. Don't park on my grass. I'm heavy on the fertilizer on my grass. I'm like a little ashamed to say that, but not really. But my backyard has no grass. I made
Okay.
that into a haven. So there's no fertilizer that hits my backyard.
Okay.
Everything stays in the front and nothing in the back. So my trees, my everything, I do my composting. I try to do as much as I can. I'm not a big scale farmer. I don't do a lot of stuff because I really it's very time consuming because
Yes.
so it's not that I do a lot of stuff, but I do a little of a lot. I do trees and vegetables and whatever. And like I said, my mother always say I have growing hands, so I guess that helps a little bit. But I'm
Wow.
always out there. I cuss them, I sing at them, I talk to them, I threaten them. They say you should threaten them. I remember a couple of years ago, I went to Bali and I had a pumpkin that was growing out there. And I said, let me tell you something. If we go to Bali and come back and, bloom and start going with something, me, I'm going to cut you down. And when I came back, that, that pumpkin had so many flowers on it. I think they start with male first and then females, and it
Okay.
actually had so it had like a whole bunch. And I think I got like two or three like decent sized pumpkin off it eventually.
Now, is this like the Jamaican style pumpkin?
Yes, yeah, it's actually it looked, yeah, because I had gotten it from it's one of I buy it at one of the Jamaican stores and planted it. The seed
Okay.
I buy the pumpkin, get the seed from it. So I get that. I guess that didn't go through the hybrid process.
So now, if I was to buy a pumpkin or something like that, and I decided I wanted to plant the seeds, please explain that process so the viewers will have an understanding. Because I know you mentioned drying, so that we know how to do it properly.
So well, like pumpkin is very easy to grow. So, but you
Okay.
have to make sure the seed is dry because you don't want to
Okay.
put a seed that's not dry into the soil because it's gonna break it may grow but it may not grow. But
Okay.
pumpkins, the seeds I plant directly into the soil. But say something like soursop or sweet sop, I actually I do the like a paper towel, wet the paper towel, put it in the plastic, and put it in the pantry. Every week or so, I go in and check it, make sure it's still damp and it's not moldy, and then
Okay.
it starts sprouting. I'll plant it. Actually,
Okay.
I did a soursop tree. I have one soursop tree that was my most successful germination that way. Also, I have the hydro. I have a couple of hydro system,
Okay.
and so like sorrel, for example, my sorrel seeds, I start my sorrels in the hydro system.
So explain to the viewers about this system. I know what you're talking about, but for those who don't know.
So it's actually like a little tank. It's all fueled by water. When you buy the system, they come with a couple of like fertilizer thing. I don't use those. I just use water. And then there are little pods that you put your seeds into the pod and put them in a tray into the water. And in a couple of days they actually germinate. They germinate really fast in the hydro system. But it has a pump and a light. There's a grow light, there's a pump, and they're not really expensive. I have one that's only three, and then another one that's maybe 12. I wish I had thought about it. I would have brought the little things to show you, but they're just like little pods you have to replace, and then there's like a sticker that goes over the top, and you have to put a little plastic lid over
Okay.
it, and they actually, because like when I do the sorrel seeds in in 4 to 5 days, they're probably like yay high, maybe
Okay.
taller. 'Cause I have to take the little plastic lid off them because they have outgrown them. So
Okay.
I usually start my some seedlings I start that way, not everything. I tried the other day. I tried what we Jamaicans call red peas, but I guess those are kidney beans. I
Yes.
actually tried two in there, and they were my best one. They actually did so much better than the ones that I plant directly into the ground. But then also I have little, like little trees I'll plant them into as well. But that thing works. It works for me.
That's very interesting. Now, I want you to talk about flowers. You know, when I see beautiful flowers, I think of my grandmother. She would take a knife, just a simple knife sometimes, and I would just watch her dig in the ground, and she would plant stuff, and she had growing hands like you because they would grow so beautifully. I just think back to her veranda on both sides, these beautiful flowers. So, what is the process for someone that wants to plant flowers? I know I would see people in Jamaica, like you were talking about, cutting or just taking, from different people, and they can make that grow. I would like you to explain that process.
Um. Okay. Repeat that process you want me to explain
The
again.
flowers, like for planting flowers. If I mean, is it a complicated process? Do you have to plant
Oh,
flowers?
okay.
Can you plant from seeds, or do you plant directly from another flower that you
Okay,
cut already?
okay, got you. So some things I plant from seed, like for example sunflowers, because those are really beneficial to my garden. So sunflower, marigold, those I plant from seed. I'll tell you something too. I'll share something with you before, but I'll
Okay,
answer your question. But I'll also share something with you.
sure.
I don't know. There. You know how back home we would say marigold, for example. You once you plant it, you can it's like it's all over the place. It spreads so much,
Yeah.
but you can't get rid of it. I think I don't think I know they're doing something to plants and fruits now, where they're radiating them, so the seeds, you can't grow the seeds. The the first time I saw it, I actually did not believe it. But if when you go to the store and you buy mango, especially, there look on there's a little label that says radiated on it. So what it means, they're saying that they're radiating them for pests, but they're also radiating them that the seeds cannot grow. Just think how good that is for you. If
Oh, wow.
Okay, and they're doing that with the flowers. So of course, Florida doesn't have the true winter season, but things die. So what I do with my flowers, I save the seeds, I dry them out, I keep them in a nice dry place, and I start them. I plant them, in little just little starter trays. I replant them, but there are some things though, like this here, like that's a snake plant, or some people, Jamaicans will call it a mother-in-law's tongue. It's
Okay.
really good for your house. It purifies the air, and but they send out what we call little suckers, so you can you can. This was actually taken over my yard.
Okay.
Because once it sends out a sucker, it actually, you can cut from it, and take it from there. There's a orchid that I have. It actually runs like a vine. It has taken over a palm tree that I have in the front. And if you can, do cutlings from that. And
Okay.
yeah, so it depends, and then there's another indoor plant that I have that, and I really like, is the peace lily. That's
Okay.
very popular in the island. It's that lily that blooms white. It's also good for inside. It purifies the air. And that one, she's very dramatic. It has to be. I call her she all day because she's very dramatic. You don't water her for 2 days, and she just flop
Oh,
and
wow.
dead. And then as soon as you water, she's just nice and beautiful again. So but like there's some flowers that's like like the same this mother-in-law tongue. It That's like minimal cure. That's why I like this plant. This is one of my favorite to have inside because it's minimal. You probably just need to water this maybe once every 10 days or something. And
Okay.
she like basically no cure. The peace lily, man, you better be watering that one every day. Orchids are actually very easy to grow. They need love and care and attention though. Once you fertilize them like ever so often, and but and you don't have to water them a lot. If they're inside, probably water every 10 days.
Okay.
Outside, you water more. But my orchids, I just kind of let them be and they flourish. I don't mess with them. They don't mess with me, and they just grow.
Do you have to use fertilizer or anything like that with your
Oh yes,
flowers?
I do. No, no, no. I do fertilize them. You have to fertilize them. You have to fertilize them. You have to. I have been neglecting them because I'm doing more of my my vegetable. But you have to. You got to change out the the thing that what do we call those Brie? It's there's a certain kind of because you don't plant orchids in soil. So
Okay.
they're the orchid mix that you use. So you have to change them ever so often. The coil that mine a lot of mine are in what we call coils. And so I have
Okay.
to replace those sometimes. But other than that, and I have some that are in the trees. Once they're in the trees, I really don't fertilize those. I don't do anything with them. I just leave them alone and they're fine.
Now, is manure really beneficial to plants? I mean,
Is what?
manure.
Yes, yes, it is because everything needs nutrients. Just like your body needs nutrients, your plant that's your nutrients. I use a lot of not for my flowers though. I use it for some flowers, but definitely not my indoor ones.
Okay.
I use fish fertilizer. It is what listen, when I do the fish fertilizer, my whole there's so many flies and it smells so bad. But it's really good. It's water soluble, so you gotta use it a little bit more often. But it's good. But that's what I use. I use that for all my plants outside.
Now, you mentioned composting earlier. Would you explain to the viewers what that whole process is?
So composting is a very dirty process. There's nothing nice about it. So I have like a bin. I don't have a particular composting bin because they have those fancy ones that are, they can be a little expensive. I just use a bin and I layer it. So like every all the scraps. I don't put meat and stuff in mine either. I use like the fruits and vegetable, and I'll layer it. So I'll use the leaves from I'll use a layer of leaves and then layer of fruits and vegetable, then a layer of leaves, and then I mix them in. Like I ever so often I mix them, and they'll have like these big nasty um grub looking stuff in them. They say they're beneficial.
Okay.
It's a really nasty process. But when after I get to a certain stage where I stop putting stuff in there and all I do is I turn it around, really you get this beautiful soil. It's like you wouldn't think it takes a long time to break it down too. So it's
Okay.
not an overnight process. But when you get that soil, it's like this rich soil. You can't use it by itself. You can. I don't think you would. And I'm not a like a expert, and I don't know the whys and the hows and stuff.
Yes.
I'm like a lot of trial and error on my planting, but the soil is so rich and so beautiful that uh, you have to mix it with like our soil here is very sandy, so you have to mix
Okay.
it in with something. You can't use it by itself. It's just it's I have some outside that I need to use, and it's but I have to mix it with something.
Okay. But it's worth the time and effort.
No, it is because it prevents you from buying all the, all the stuff that you're gonna go out there and buy and whatever. I don't make enough not to buy. I still buy soil, but just knowing that I did this, it's
Okay.
like
Yes.
yes, yes. It's like
Yeah.
having a child and you're like, I made this one. So it's like I did
Oh
this.
my gosh.
You hold it up and you're like, oh, this is me. All of me did this. Yeah.
Let's talk about vegetables.
So vegetables now. Oh Lord, I think we did talk so much about vegetables, but the and it's back to the same thing with it with the with my vegetables. I start from the seeds. Like now I pretty much, I think I'm like coming up to the end of reaping all my stuff. Callaloo is probably what I have a little bit of, but like I said, I don't have a big scale anything. I just have a little bit of everything. Callaloo again is by seed. So I was watching this Jamaican program the other day, and this guy was saying when you the callaloo that you get your seeds from, you should never cut it. You shouldn't cut the callaloo from it. You should just keep the seeds. And I kind of think that is so true because there's one callaloo
Okay.
tree that I have by now. It's not just like little baby it's a big tree. And so I have this one tree out there, and I realized when I actually sow those seeds, it actually they do better than the seeds from the ones that I'm cutting. So I don't so that
Okay.
could possibly be true. Um, what else about vegetable? What else can I say about vegetable? But most of my vegetable, like I said, I plant those from seeds. Those are there's some that, and it's always the season, like the winter vegetables, the like the cabbage and the broccoli and cauliflower and stuff like that. Now it's not the time. You can't. Those would not grow now. Lettuce, all of that.
Okay.
Those are like in the cooler months you start planting those. Now it's this time is
Yes.
like potatoes and carrot. Um, what more? What else? What's now? Potatoes, callaloo. Um, that's the sweet potato though. Sweet potato, not
Okay.
okra. Well, for me, that's what I am planting now because
Okay.
that's
I didn't
our.
even know you could grow potatoes in Florida.
Oh yeah, yes, you can. Sweet potato, and I
Okay.
plant. It's no brie in my. For me, my potatoes and my yam, I plant those in containers, because just
Okay.
because it's easier to reap them. Because when like my
Okay.
yam, when I plant them in the ground, I can't dig them at all. I have a problem digging them out. So by the time I'm digging them,
Okay.
I'm like I'm crushing. I'm like they're all I'm slicing them. I'm doing whatever with them. I'm leaving half of it in the ground. When I put them in containers, I
Okay.
actually get less, but I can pour the container out. There's like bags. There are grow bags. There's some grow bags. So I get like I have a piece of tarpaulin, and so
Okay.
I pour the stuff out on it, and I didn't do so good with my white potato. Well, I did blue. They call it blue potato, red and gold potatoes. Those didn't do so good this year for whatever reason. But then those are so that's another benefit of doing the container gardening.
Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about trees. I know a coworker of mine a couple years ago. He was struggling. He had planted a mango tree and a soursop tree. He had bought a home. He was so proud. And he struggled with those trees. So, how hard is it? Is it really a complicated process? And, does it take a lot of patience?
Okay, so for the growth process, if you plant from seed, it
Yeah.
you got to be patient, especially mangoes. They take I don't know, maybe 8 years or so before they produce, and you may not get what you plant. Just like they say, if you plant
Okay.
Julie, you're not gonna get Julie mango. You're gonna get bastard Julie. Um, I had I
Okay.
had I had a Haitian mango tree that I planted from seed, and and it was Haitian mango. I have a Bombay mango tree I planted from seed, and it is Bombay. But the disadvantage of planting from seed as well is they grow so big, and it is not cheap to trim those trees. My Bombay tree,
Yeah.
I was getting quotes of 550 and 500 just to trim the tree. And
Wow.
and at the same time, I have a Julie mango tree that was planted the same time with the Bombay. I've never ever trimmed the tree, which I probably should have trimmed it. I never trimmed it. It's nice size. It's not very tall. I can pick anything I mean, with a stick from the ground, and the Bombay is like way in the
Yes.
air, So, but then, of course, here we have squirrels. We have raccoons.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! This year they gave me a run, and I, I really didn't get any mangoes this year. Between the birds, the squirrels, and I guess raccoons or possum or something, they did me bad.
I've
They
heard that,
did
and
me.
there's nothing that you can do to prevent that,
There's
huh?
there's like absolutely nothing that I can think of. The only thing I can do, you see those little plastic containers, like when you buy grapes or kiwis or
Yeah.
something. I put those over my, if the mangoes are low down, or if I can get to them on a ladder, I put you put the stem through it, put the fruit in there and snap them in place. That's the only time they don't use them. I tried the little bags. Let me tell you, my niece was laughing at me one month. She called me outside. She came over and she called me outside. She's like, she called me Auntie Maxine. She's like, Auntie Maxine, come look at this. The I guess it's a raccoon or somebody or whoever it is. They took the bag off, put the bag to the side, and ate my mango. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, like the bag was like literally to the side, and the mango. And I guess it was a raccoon, because when squirrel eat your mango, squirrels are very annoying. They bite. They just go from one to one to one and bite.
Oh
When a raccoon
gosh.
eats a mango, they eat it like a human. The seed, they eat all the way to the seed, and the seed is white.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
because
Oh my
so, but
gosh.
so growing from seed is very time consuming. My sour sop and my sweet sop. The sweet sop actually didn't really take a long time to beer, but my the sour sop really took a long time to beer. And for me, this year I had sour sops that were like 6 pounds. I was like, I kind of, last year I didn't get any. My friend's husband had promised me he was gonna show me how to pollinate, to manually
Okay.
pollinate them, and we never got around to it. And I was kind of upset with the tree. And then when we had Milton, remember we had that little Milton came through, the wind
Mhm.
broke. It didn't break the limb, but my neighbor, something from one of my neighbor's tree fell on the limb, and it was like on the ground. So I went to Home Depot, got one of those piece of lumber, and hoist it up, and just totally ignored the soursop tree. There were like 9 or 10 soursop on just that one limb, nowhere else. And they were all so big and
Oh
nice, and
my.
oh, they were so good. Because I don't like soursop juice, I just eat my soursop.
I don't like soursop
I don't
juice
like the juice.
either.
I don't like the juice at all. I
I've never liked it. It just has a very weird taste to me. I
don't
don't
like it.
like it.
So, but trees, and trees can be expensive, because first, like I just bought it's called Lisa Atimoya. It's like a custard apple. Um, it's a custard apple, but it's like a hybrid, and it's a
Okay.
tiny tree. Paid $90 for it.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
I'm like, I nurture that tree so much, because I'm like, I don't want that tree to die. But but then if you're talking about something like bananas or something, those are easy. Ban-
Okay.
Bananas are easy. They're pretty easy to grow. They just need a lot of, from my experience, and like I say, I'm not a pro. I just see things that really work for me. Bananas
Uh-huh.
just need a lot of water. And another thing,
Okay.
like if I clean up like fish or something, I bury them by the banana. But of course,
Okay.
I have to cover them, because the raccoons come for what they. If I don't, yeah,
Yeah. What role does patience play in
Oh, honey,
gardening?
you gotta be patient. It's such a because, but you know there's something about you see the minute you take your eyes off it, there's one or two things that's gonna happen. The minute you take your eyes off your garden, it's gonna be overtaken by insects, or everything is gonna start bearing and get overripe just like that. Like my Aki. I don't know how my Aki came out so early this year. So but this is the first year I've had so many Aki. I had Aki that they were just falling off the tree, and I actually the week when they started opening, I had to go to Jamaica. So I went to Jamaica, and the rain came, and whenever it would actually, once the rain started falling, everything just opened all at once. And if they open in the morning, by the next day they're no longer. Yeah, that's the thing with
Oh,
Aki. It's not like they open up and they're gonna stay good for another 3 4 days. And so by the time I came back, it was like I mean, I did get enough for me, but it wasn't a whole. Like most of them were just sitting under the tree because they opened up, and somehow the squirrels did not discover them until later when they were just about finished.
okay.
So because you know how we say Aki is poisonous if it's not open on its own,
Yes.
but the squirrels will go there and they'll bite into it, and they'll literally take the seed out of the Aki. They'll open up the pod themselves, and nothing happens to them.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
listen,
That is that is
but it's
amazing.
but gardening is a lot of patience. You have to be you absolutely have to be patient because it's not an overnight process. You don't just there's some plants that will grow, even a variety of a plant that grows quickly, or something. But like I say, I'm not a pro at this. I'm learning. It's within the last maybe couple of years I've gotten more serious about my garden. I've built the raised beds, and converted my backspace into something that I like, and but
Now, are the raised beds like I've seen the raised beds at a friend's house. Now, is it beneficial for like older people not being able to bend and all of that?
Definitely, definitely. Like I have some raised beds that are actually built higher, where I stand and
Okay.
they're way up. But and then I have like a whole concrete bed thing that I have to bend further, or I can actually sit on the blocks and kind of do my thing because I can sit on the edge of them. But those definitely, and I really like those like the container raised bed, the ones. Those are
Yes.
those are really really nice. A particular store had them the other day, and they were on sale. These ones had like a at the bottom was a layer. You have like you can store like a layer of water under there, and so you
Okay.
put the water in, and you don't have to water so often. And actually, I realized that worked with my peppers. So I planted peppers, and my
Okay.
peppers actually did really really good in that. Um, and like like you say, you don't have to, for somebody who has arthritis or older, or have some kind of
Yeah.
disability or something, it's really really easy.
That's a really, I'm hoping that the viewers who are watching are taking in all this information. What do you think about community gardening? I've watched some really cool documentaries where they've introduced gardening to children. They've started these little community gardens. There are some neighborhoods where they'll start it and the people of the community can come out, plant, and the whole neighborhood gets to reap. They get to share everything. What's your opinion on
You
that?
know, I think that's such a beautiful thing, and growing up to it, now I remember when we had like 4-H, the 4-H club, and they would
Yes, I
introduce you
remember
to
4-H.
gardening and stuff like that. And probably that's one of the things that made me like gardening so much too, because I was know that you're talking about that, because that's kind of like, even though it was in the school, it wasn't a community, but
Yes.
like in the inner cities and stuff, you know, just if I always think if like even though this is not considered community gardening, but I have like friends that we talk every day about our gardening and we share stuff. We'll share
Yes.
seeds and something and we share ideas. But it motivates me to and I'll say, hey, I have this growing on my plant. What is this? What do you think? And get
Yeah.
ideas from them. But but starting off with like say a group of people within a certain community, it then you start off with that love for gardening
Yes.
and just like you said, as a child with that daffodil and just seeing the thing bloom and
Yes.
grow
Yes.
and I see, like I said, I'm in a lot of I'm in a lot of gardening groups. Like sometimes my friends probably think I'm ignoring their posts. I don't see a lot of posts anymore. What I see is gardening because my algorithm is
Yes.
gardening. So I'm in a lot of these
Yes.
gardening groups, and I'll see, stuff that people they'll say my child brought this home from school, and and the kids are so vested into this. They're like, I don't want it to die,
Yeah.
please help me, because my child would be so devastated because they're looking forward to seeing what it's gonna turn out to be. And sometimes the teachers, it's like a mystery, they don't really know what it is, because sometimes some of
Yes.
the melons, you're not sure which particular melon it is, because I have some seeds growing in a pot right now, and I have no idea what it is, but I know it's not a weed. It is something, and I don't remember
Okay.
what seed I planted, and I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like. But it's just no, for kids, it's something you start off, and it's like, hey, you know, your love for that thing probably grows from there.
I think so. I wish that this could become something at all schools for children where they can be introduced to gardening and let the kids, let them reap when everything grows. And even I think nursing homes. I mean, maybe there are some people who were too fragile to garden, but I think there are some people who are still able-bodied, and I think they would enjoy it to get out there and have a sense of purpose. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
There's one particular, there's a nursing home here in St. Lucie County. It's not one of the
Okay.
finer nursing homes. They do have
Okay.
a raised bed garden, and when I worked for hospice, I would go there. And let me tell you, it
Okay.
was always a pleasure. And the thing about it, like there would be always there would always be residents out there tending to those beds and liking
Yes.
it. And I know like some of the assisted living, because I've been to a couple of assisted livings where they have gardens. There's one particular one that was, I guess it was Cuban owned or something, and they had that gardening space out there, and the residents would be out there gardening, and I think it did something for them, because even with dementia or something, like
Yes.
it evokes something within them. It's just like music. Like sometimes you see a dementia patient that have not been talking or something, and then all of a sudden they'll sing two verse, two lines of something because they
Yes.
hear it. It's like they go out there and they're like, "Ooh, this is something
Yes.
goes off. The
Yes.
bell goes off in their head, and it brings them, that joy comes back to them." you know. And I
Yes.
remember working for another hospice in Palm Beach County, and I was doing just the weekends, and I had this one patient on the weekends, and every time I would go see her, I would go do visits with her, and she was into orchids, and they allowed her to have her little orchid space because she was part of the Treasure Coast Orchid Club and whatever.
Okay.
And she made sure when she died, she she had one of the daughters call me and give me an orchid. I would
Oh,
always take her outside because I have that love for flowers, but she want, no matter how bad she was feeling, she wanted to go outdoors and just to tend to her orchids. And so uh, I wish they would have more of those programs.
it's a sense of purpose,
Yeah,
and I'm sure it brings
because
joy.
I mean, I could go on and on about the nursing home residents. Sometimes they just need a purpose. They need something to live for, something to look forward to.
Yes. Yes, and gardening, I think that would be a perfect start. Dorcia, thank you so much for tuning in. She says, very informative. I love gardening. Need to find more time for it. Makes me happy when I spend time in the garden. You know, you guys have me thinking about
I'm
gardening now.
telling you,
So
Bree,
let
the
me,
container gardening is the way to go. But you have my number.
yeah, I'm definitely going
You,
to start
I,
start
I,
easy now.
I can
I
start you
know
off
we
on some
don't have a
seedlings or something.
Yeah, because trust me, I think it will give me something positive to do. Now let's touch on herbal remedies. We
Oh,
talked about
oh
that
my
earlier
goodness,
before we
yes.
went
Because
live.
like I was saying, I have so like I'm. Listen, any one of the viewers out there, if you know of a herbal class, but they have to be in person. I can't do those online things. Let me know. But
But Dorcia is local, so for anyone that's local, if you're interested in a herbal class, reach out, let me know, because Janice is thinking about starting something. When I was growing, I remember when we lived in England, my mother would always talk about mint tea. And if you had a little tummy upset or whatever, she'd always make mint tea. I've always loved the smell of it, the taste of it, but there's something healing in that tea,
it's something about
honestly.
drinking a
So
tea.
let's,
And there's
yes, that tea
that
does
Jamaican mint tea
something.
that's very hard to grow, very, very hard to grow. The other mints will take over your yard space. You can't get rid of them, but that Jamaican mint is very, very hard to grow. But it's something healing about it. You know, like Jamaicans, everything go drink mint tea, right? So then,
Yes, it's
there's
true.
so much stuff out there. Like I have comfrey out there. You're not supposed to drink comfrey anymore. Some people still drink it. It's supposed to be toxic to your liver, supposedly
Okay.
supposedly toxic to your liver, so you only supposed to use it as a topical, meaning putting it on your skin. Um, of course, we
Okay.
know aloe vera, and I'm talking about the stuff that I have in my yard. I have, I have aloe vera. We know that's good for burn. It's good for your skin. That kind of stuff. You can. I just recently used it for my daughter's eczema, and it actually helped. I used it with garlic. Actually, blended it with garlic.
Okay.
There, of course, then there's lemongrass, fever grass. Supposedly, if you have a fever, you put it under your pillow, and that's that. But people, like Asians, cook with it. Then so
Okay.
I also have like rice bitters that's supposed to, and sorry, rice bitters as well, good for diabetes. Then suppose then I'm only telling you what we hear, right? The Food and Drug
Yeah.
Administration have not said anything. Guava leaf, that kind of stuff, they say good for that too. But I have, so I have what else do I have out there? Of course,
Do you have bay
oh
leaves by
yeah, I have
chance? Do you
no,
grow
not bay
bay?
leaves. Not no, I don't have. I
Okay.
do keep like bay leaves with some rum, of course, some Jamaican rum, but not for drinking because
Because
the
they
headache,
used
you
to
top
sell
it
the
up and the
bottles.
pain
Yes,
and the whatever.
I
And
remember.
of course,
I remember
I
that.
learned this one recently, and I'll tell you, this actually worked for me. The avocado seed, you cut it up with rum again. There goes the Jamaican rum. And stop it and tie up the knee with or wherever the pain is, and it does work. Um, yeah,
Wow.
then of course we with the new rave now is the soursop leaf.
Yes, I've heard about
Yeah,
that.
so anybody locally wants some soursop leaf, I got a whole lot out there.
Dorsey is saying, what is leaf of life
Oh,
good
leaf of
for?
life is actually good for like if you have a cold, you can actually you can juice it, or you can just chew it. That's actually good. I have moringa tree out there. That's like an all rounder. Um, Vervine. All my life, my mother always said Ram Goat National, but then I found out that is actually Ram Goat Dash Along. That it's good for your respiratory system as well. Just like Vervine. Remember in COVID, everybody Vervine was the thing to use. Yeah,
Yeah.
supposedly. I don't know if it worked. I have tried. The tea is actually good. It's a good taste. It's not a bad taste at all. Um, all the stuff that I have tried them. I personally drank comfort tea. Like especially as not really so much as a child, but as a young adult, I used to drink the tea every Sunday. We used to drink it. Then now I hear that it's toxic to your liver. so I don't mess with it like that anymore.
What about ginger?
Oh, ginger! Everything I drink is ginger. Almost every day, I tell you, I juice and I have. I don't know my kale. I have one big kale tree that's still surviving. I have kale, ginger, lemon, and I'll put like something like apple or something in there to sweeten it.
Yeah.
But everything I juice, I put ginger in there. But ginger is also, it's also good. Ginger is one of those with a lot of benefits, anti-inflammatory, good for your joints. That kind,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I tell you, Jen, you have given us so much great information. I truly enjoyed this conversation. For those out there, if you're interested in this herbal remedies class, please let us know. I'm telling you, I would be there. I would be there, Janice. Let's hopefully this will come together soon because I'm definitely interested in this sort of thing. So, Janice, what are your closing thoughts for tonight?
I would encourage everybody to start somewhere. Plan something. Start. It's not for everybody. Gardening is definitely not for everybody. I am one of those. I love my nail, and I do my own nails too. And these are short, and my nails are usually like really long, and I still garden. So but and of course I wear my gloves. Some people don't want to get dirty. Some people for whatever reason, but just try it even once. I tell you, it brings you. It's when you walk out and you see your stuff thriving. And if you start and you fail, don't give up. Just wheel and come again, like Jamaicans would say,
Yes.
and just start all over again, and that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, Johnny, this was great. This was my first episode on gardening. I hope we can do this again.
I hope
And
so
it
too.
was it this was a great conversation. I'd like to thank all the viewers who tuned in. For those who watch the replay, please feel free to post your questions or comments. And if you're interested in this class, please let us know. Take care, everyone. I'm wishing you